Welcome everyone to this episode of the Capable Minds podcast. Today we have Ashley Young, co-owner and founder of Brank Lockr at Mill Lane Studios. As always, please like, share and subscribe to our channel as it helps us grow. And before we get started, ask yourselves one question: what makes you capable? Ashley, thank you very much for coming in to speak with us today on the Capable Minds podcast.
Thank you for having me.
If we can start by you explaining exactly to the audience at home about Brank Lockr and Mill Lane Studios. Obviously, you're in a brand new studio now, which is clean, it's lovely, so professional. So if you could tell everyone about what you do here and the whole business on both sides, Brank Lockr and Mill Studios.
Yeah, so Brank Lockr is a creative agency. We do digital marketing, content creation, email marketing, brand development, web builds, web development, basically everything that an e-commerce brand would need to thrive, we do in-house. And then we're based in Mill Lane Studios, which is on Mill Lane in Cardiff. Yeah. It's like a really nice central place for like obviously local businesses, but obviously then because it's such a big venue, we can have brands from all over the UK and the EU send us their products for Brank Lockr. We shoot it in-house, edit it all in-house. And then at Mill Lane Studios, people from South Wales can come in, hire it, or anywhere in the UK really, come in, hire it, use all of our kit, have us on hand to like help them set it up to get the best lighting, etc. where they need, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
It sounds like, obviously, because you're in the centre of Cardiff, it's like so easily accessible for anyone to come here. So, like you said, not only just in Cardiff or South Wales, you can have people from all over the UK coming here. The train station's only over the road, so
yeah, literally like a 5-minute walk.
You could have
St David's and John Lewis car park just for there.
Yeah, brands
so
from London,
central.
brands or models from London, Manchester, wherever. Just got to get a train down, and then they're literally in the centre of Cardiff already.
And that's it. That's one of the reasons why we chose this spot, is because believe it or not, in city centre there's nothing like this. Yeah. And there's no creative studios or spaces like this in the city centre, which blew our minds, to be honest with you, because we did why not? In Bristol there's loads, obviously London is just, there's too many. Yeah. And they get, the pricing that they charge is just astronomical. But for a space like this in London, you wouldn't be able to book it because it'd be booked out constantly. So we're trying to just cater to the southwest region, South Wales people.
I would never have thought this was here. Like if you walk outside, obviously for people who don't know Mill Lane, obviously it's bars and restaurants all the way down the road, and you're situated above one of the bars, and you just wouldn't think it was there. So for people walking down, like how can you get more people to come in just off without social media marketing? Like how do you bring people in from literally walking the street? Because the footfall outside is huge, obviously, because we're in the centre. So like thousands of people walk past every day. So how do you then get them to come into the studio and maybe have a look, see what you're about?
So we've got a space outside, which is a big, from the floor to ceiling of the outside doors, we've got a big open black area which we're going to put our branding on. And then we've got one of these big circle signs that's already there, and we're going to put our logo on that. And then we're going to put some like decals on the floor, like arrows to push people through and come into here. But obviously because it's on top of bars and restaurants, there's so much advertising and brands, we get lost. We can't see us at the moment, so we're going to put a big bright yellow sign out there with like arrows, and then one of those A boards out on the walk as well, and just get people arrowing it in with like a QR code where they can scan it and then find out more about it.
Literally, so like I think when you've got that sort of branding outside, like by the door, and the funnel going into the studios, I think you'll have so much more like new customers who they haven't necessarily walked down the street looking for a studio, but then they walk down, see all your big yellow Brank Lockr signs, Mill Lane Studio signs, and they're just going to want to go in because your branding's like really good. So how did you come up with the logo? Like talk to me about the logo and the branding with the whole locker. Like talk to me about that.
Well, like branding for me is like my strongest point for me, basically. Like I love coming up with brands and names, and when I started this in September last year, I was trying to think of something different, something new from my previous company. And I wanted it to be around a brand because obviously we mainly work with brands, and I was going like brand starter, brand builder was taken, and then I just stumbled across the name Brank Lockr, and I was like, surely that's taken, and it wasn't. So I was like, done, need that. And then that goes on to the turnkey solution, because
Yeah.
we're essentially like a one-stop shop for e-commerce businesses. But I hate the term one-stop shop. Like, I think it's
So many people use it.
It's so cheesy as well,
Yeah.
and we don't want to look as if we're a business that does everything and like a master of nothing. I can't remember what that quote is now, but so the turnkey works, it actually fits. It is actually like, it's a product or service that's pre-built and made, ready to just be plugged into somebody's business.
Yeah.
And obviously the turnkey fits in with the Brank Lockr.
Yeah.
And it all just kind of fits in very
That's
nicely.
good. I love that sort of analogy where what part of the logo has got the keyhole?
The R at the end of
The
Lockr.
R at the end, yeah, sick. And then obviously you talk about the turnkey solution. So a brand comes in and they get like a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Where like you can do that bit, and then it all goes into one to help them get further in their brand and their business. I love that.
Yeah.
So if we take it back to the early days of photography, videography, because I know you've got a background in that, can you remember or give us the background on when you first got into like photography, and like where did the inspiration come from for that? Was it like family? Was it friends?
No, it's mad really. It was actually when I was living in America on a soccer scholarship.
Yeah, I remember you went there.
If I say
actually,
football, everyone's like, what, American football?
Yeah.
No. So I was living in Kansas on a soccer scholarship in college, studying marketing and graphic design, playing soccer obviously for the college, and that was like an insane experience. But there was this dude called Chase on my marketing class, and he used to come in every day just dripping in like Off-White, Yeezys, Balenciaga. He had a Rolex.
Yeah.
Don't know how he got the money for this stuff in college, but he just had a sick style. And I remember it was my 21st birthday, and my gran asked me, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, camera. I was like, I didn't even know why I wanted a camera.
Yeah.
There was no reason behind it. I was like, I'm in America, it'd be cool to take some photos. And obviously this dude Chase had this like insane clothing, so I was like, oh, maybe we could take photos of him in his clothing. So yeah, my gran bought me a camera, and then I got friendly with this guy Chase, and then we just decided to go around all the sick spots that we could find and take photos of him. He was like super vain, so he loved it.
Yeah.
And I think the first day that I started taking photos of him in his like Yeezys and clothing, clicked. I fell in love with it, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
To the point where I actually just dropped out after the first year in college, and I was like, nah, I'm going to move back to the UK and pursue a career in photography, fashion photography mainly.
Yeah, sick. I guess you kind of need vain people in this industry,
Yeah.
though, don't you? You need people who are going to kind of work the camera and allows you to get as many good shots as you need to.
Yeah.
And if there's a slight, like, sort of, I don't know, something off about a photo, they wouldn't mind taking another one. You know, like sometimes you're on a night out, and like you want a photo, and there's always that one person who's like, "Oh no, take it again, take it again, take it again." They're fuming
that's all
about
models,
it.
mate.
Yeah, that's
They
what
all
you
want
need.
it, yeah.
That's what you need.
But it's good because obviously he has a keen interest in his appearance and how he looks.
Yeah.
So he holds value in himself and what he was wearing, and the stuff that he was wearing was sort of legit, and it was really he had a sick style sense. So it was easy for me to take photos of him because even though he wasn't a model and he had no experience, the clothing and the outfits that he was wearing just worked.
Yeah, it's like the package as a whole sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. What about like TV books or TV personalities or books or anything? Is there anyone you sort of, even podcasts, is there anything or anyone that you watch that you regularly take like inspiration from, and like why?
I think his name's Dan Folger. He was like an influencer photographer, and he was the photographer for Wiz Khalifa.
Oh yeah.
And I first came across him when I was living in America, and he set up a jewelry brand called Shop Gold, I think.
Yeah.
And they're like
I think I heard of that.
they're like now one of the biggest jewelry brands, and they're mega successful. But he was just a cool dude, and he was a photographer for Wiz Khalifa to start off with. Then he built a jewelry brand to start selling to these music people in the industry, and I just followed him for ages, and I kind of saw that he was able to travel around the world, get to like exclusive places, be like behind the scenes VIP and all these amazing like venues and music concerts. He was driving around like Ferraris and Lambos and just flexing out constantly, and I was like, that's a bit of me. That's what I want to do.
And that nice lifestyle.
That all stemmed from him just being a photographer, and I think he just turned up to events and music shows and just started snapping shots of his artists, and then Wiz Khalifa picked him up as his personal photographer, and that was it. And another one, Post Malone's personal photographer, Adam G or something, I can't remember his name now, but again, he was just a photographer, started taking photos of it. Of Post Malone, got hired full time by him, and now he travels the world, going to like the most insane places, meeting the most insane people. And for me, that's what I wanted to be able to do. I wanted to be able to travel the world but whilst making money, doing something that I love, and luckily I've been able to do that now. So.
Would you say those sort of, you spoke a lot about the travelling, the clothing, the style that people have, the watches, the Rolex, would you say that's one of the main motivations you have, is to be able to buy nice things? Would you say, like, what's your motivation for business?
If anyone knows me or knows me well enough, they know I want a Lamborghini Aventador.
Yeah.
a bright yellow one, and that's
why not?
Since the day that I've ever like started running my own business, that's the only thing I've ever said. I'm not really a materialistic person. I am a little bit, but just a Lamborghini Aventador.
We all have little traits of that.
Yeah, I
like,
really want
nice
one, and more so though it's the travelling. Like, I want to be able to travel the world and see all different types of places, and what better than to do that and get paid to do it.
Exactly.
And then take photos of it and get paid to
do what you love.
I love taking photos. I love traveling, and if I can do both and get paid to do it, why not?
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. Who would you say, in terms of the clients you've worked with so far up to now, who would you say the biggest or most influential, I guess?
Yeah.
Like, not, it could be an influencer, it could be celebrity. Like, who do you think so far has been like the biggest one?
I think it was, I got the opportunity to travel to Miami and Arizona with YouTube, filming the pre-season for MLB.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah, and I got to go behind the scenes and interview all the MLB for Cardinals, the Cubs. I think it must have been like 2021 maybe I did that.
That was quite recent.
Yeah, and so I got to obviously meet all the players, get behind the scenes of everywhere, go into the changing rooms, interview all the players. And that was the first big push and test for me, because it was just me. I had a 3-camera setup, 4 different mics, like 7 different lapels, having to like sync it all, direct it all, instruct it all, come back, edit it all up. And that was for YouTube, and it got pushed on. It got posted on YouTube, MLB's official account on YouTube, or their Instagram, and that was probably the biggest one that I've done.
Quite a surreal moment. So how did that opportunity come about?
Well, we had from when I had my first studio, we were doing work for this guy that worked for a company called Jungle Creations in London, and they just contacted us and said, "Are you guys?" It was literally, I remember we were in Millennium Stadium shooting for a brand here, and we got a phone call, and they were like, "Are you free on Saturday?" This was like on a Thursday. They were like, "Are you free on Saturday to go to Miami?"
What?
We were like, "What?" They're like, "We need somebody to go to Miami for 2 weeks, and then Arizona to film MLB and YouTube."
What? That's sick.
And I wasn't. I had so much work on, and I cleared it. I dropped 100%. It all, and we were like, yeah. And then literally, I remember we got back after that shoot on the Millennium Stadium. I had to spend about 10 hours the next day on Friday editing, and then all the way through the night, packed up my stuff, got to London for like 4 o'clock Saturday morning, flew out.
Fair play.
It was pretty intense.
That's class.
It was pretty mad. I think I had to sleep for about a week after I came back from that trip, because it was non-stop. We were traveling every single day, but it was insane.
That's the thing in like media businesses, sort of like photography, videography, filming, production, that sort of thing. The hours can be extensive, can't they?
It's fast paced.
You got to think about, obviously you're getting up early, getting to location or to the studio or whatever. You might be shooting however many people. You're trying to get the perfect shot on all those people, and then after that, then you got to get back, travel back maybe, and then you got to edit it all as well. Yeah. So one job. What's the longest like a job has lasted before you've had the finished product, would you say?
Weeks.
Weeks, yeah.
Weeks.
Could even be months, probably, yeah.
We did another YouTube channel, a series for the Love Island cast. I think 20, whatever, Finley, Tapp and Callum, all that.
Yeah, was that a winter one?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was a brand called His Column, and we did like I can't remember the name, Love Island Challenges or something like that. And that was like a big production. We built a big massive set, had loads of different cameras, and we had like 10 different challenges. So that filming was like 12-hour filming. Then obviously after that, we have to like create 40-minute episodes, 10 of them, and edit them all with sound designs, intros, camera cuts, making sure it all like synced and it all like flowed, and it's basically a TV program. Yeah. That took us about 3-4 weeks to edit and to complete.
It's better to, obviously, as you know, like you spend a bit more time on things and they come out perfect.
Yeah. So we don't rush things.
What was the feedback you had on that?
They loved it.
They loved it,
yeah. They really loved it. It actually worked really well for this brand that sponsored it.
Oh,
and they got a massive influx of sales.
I remember seeing it on your Instagram actually, like a few years ago.
That was pretty sick.
I remember seeing it, and it was like the people I just watched on TV, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, he's doing so well.
It was good. It was good publicity for us as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because they were all down and tagging us.
And they shared it, didn't they?
They shared it
all the
all,
Love Islanders.
Yeah.
That's really good. So in contrast to that, has there been any shoots or photo shoots or video shoots or people you've worked with and you thought, what am I doing? Like, that's the worst like person I could have shot because they're difficult? Or is there ever been like someone who's like pissed you off a little bit?
Yeah, I won't name any names.
Yeah, of course, don't name them.
I won't out anybody on it, but not so much people. I mean, I've obviously worked with models who think they're God's gift, and they really don't know what they're doing. Like, they might have got a bit of publicity, and now they think that they're it. But it's more so for us. It's brands who don't know who they are, who they're selling to, and why they're doing it in the first place. Because you find a lot of brand owners, they'll start something up, they'll get a bit of traction, and then it's kind of just like a rat race. Then they're just trying to keep building and growing, and they're just looking at the numbers. They're not trying to build a brand or a community.
So many people get fixated on the numbers.
Yeah, they have no brand ethos. They don't have any customer service. They don't know why they're doing it or who they're selling to. And then that's really difficult to create content for, because they'll come to you and the worst thing is if a brand comes to us and goes, oh, I saw this brand, I want to create that. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we're not going to copy what they're doing.
It's a different brand,
It's a different brand, different audience. You're not selling the same product, so it's not going to work for you. But then they're adamant, they're like, no, I want that. So then we create that for them, deliver it to them, and they're like, yeah, sick. They use it for their paid ads, for their socials, and they're like, oh, it flops, it didn't work. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. It's like, that's not, you don't know who you're selling to. That sort of content isn't going to work for your demographic. So you first need to like work backwards and understand what the brand is, why you're setting up the brand. As you know, as a brand owner, you need to have a reason behind it. You can't just go, I want to sell t-shirts.
And a demographic as well.
And then know who you're selling it to, and understand them, and have a good customer avatar, instead of just being like, I'm going to chuck a logo on a t-shirt, sell it, and they're going to sell out.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work like that.
What about like models then? Has there been anyone you've like wanted to almost like kick?
Yeah, there's this one guy.
That face just says it all.
There's this one guy I won't work with. I won't name him, but I'll never work with him again, because we kept pushing work to him a lot, and then he went on a reality TV show and came off it, and he just thought he was a dog's bollocks. And he'd be on shoots, and like we take photos. I always show the models like, what do you think of this? Yeah. And there'd be comments like, oh, good job, I'm good looking, because you're a shit photographer. And I would just be like, camera off, bye bye.
That's the last thing you want
when you do it,
especially when you're working with someone, or like even probably doing a favour for them. Like, you don't.
Well, we're giving him work.
Exactly.
So he hasn't come to us with a brand. We've come to him with a brand, paying him a good fucking day rate. Can I swear on this?
Honestly,
like blank out the swearing words.
No, that's fine. But, you can swear.
Yeah, you come to them with the work, and then they've just got an attitude, or they turn up late and they just rock up like 2 hours late.
It's like ungrateful, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had one before. We've had the brand owner on set with us, and the models rock up 2 hours late with a McDonald's, and they're just walking in and being like, yes, what's going on, guys? And it's like, all waiting for you. It's like, no, we're not. We're here to like create content and run a business. And it, like, be respectful, isn't it?
In this sort of industry, it's similar to me with like the gym. Like, they're turning up with the McDonald's. Like, that's not a good look. Do you get me?
If you're early, fine.
Yeah.
Like, no problem. Like, models are notorious for eating bad food. Like, I don't know how they look good, because they're always eating like takeaways and stuff. But if you're early, whatever, I don't care. If you're late, don't rock up with the McDonald's, because you've obviously sat in a drive-through, waited like 15, 20 minutes, and then rocked up, and then you've got to eat your food, and then you've got to be like, oh, I've got to get ready now.
Then wash your hands, blah, blah, blah.
It's just a bit of a piss take.
So in terms of your vision and your goal for Brank Lockr, Mill Lane Studios, where do you see yourself and the businesses going in sort of 3 to 5 years? Like, where do you want to take this? I know you've just launched the modelling agency.
Cardiff modelling agency.
Yeah, Cardiff modelling agency. So talk to me a little bit about that. And as a whole, where do you see your 2 or 3 businesses? Where do you want to push them to in the next sort of 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so we've got a lease on this place for 5 years.
Yeah.
So in terms of Mill Lane Studios, the whole purpose behind it, although it being a base for Brank Lockr, it's more we wanted to build a community and a place for South Wales creatives and people in this area to have somewhere to come, for influencers mainly, to have someone to come and create their own content,
Yeah.
be a part of a community, have the best quality equipment, a place where they can come and not have to like pay extortionate money to create their content, and like I say, have a community of people here and build up a network of local creatives, because there's nothing in Cardiff like that at the moment. And that's kind of where the Cardiff model agency comes in, because there's small time agencies, and we're not a big time, we're just started, we're brand new, but we have the capacity to be able to provide them paid work straight away, because of obviously Brank Lockr, we work with quite big clients, e-commerce brands.
Yeah.
We have the ability to give them work instantly, so it's providing jobs for models and influencers from South Wales who want to like break into the industry. We've got good connections and network, so we're just trying to feed that through. And in Brank Lockr, we want to grow it to be like the biggest creative agency in the UK.
Yeah.
That's our aim.
I love the ambition.
We want to have. I said after my first business that I'd never hire staff again, but we do. We want to hire staff. We want to hire the right staff, and we want to be the go-to place for e-commerce brands to come and have that turnkey solution. So instead of like an e-commerce brand having to get their own premises, hire 3 or 4 different staff members to run their paid ads, their socials, do their content, product development, brand development. Instead of them having to do it all in-house, we want to be that like extension of their business, but like a long-term partner of their business, not just someone that comes for a day photo shoot and then goes. We want them to come with us, and we want to help build them. As we grow, they grow as well.
That's good. Do you see yourself expanding in terms of location, or do you feel like, not just this place, do you feel like you might open somewhere else, or do you feel like you might get a bigger warehouse so you can have a couple more studios maybe? I know, what have you got here? 2 or 3?
There's 3 rooms in this one. It's about 1,500 square foot now that we've got. There's a room just next door that's the same as this, that we really want to get it, but we're just like really trying to hold back right now, not like run too quickly. So we'll probably expand and get this whole floor here once we get staff. We want to have like the staff over there, the sales team. We want to have graphic designers, video editors, more photographers, more studio sets. But in terms of locations,
this episode is brought to you by Envio Apparel, an activewear and lifestyle brand, and you can get 15% off your whole order with code CapableMinds15. Check out envioapparel.com or on socials, EnvioOfficial. Let's get back to the podcast.
We definitely want to open up a studio in Amsterdam. I love the city. I've been there so many times, and it's got a really good creative scene there. And some of the buildings you can get there are just insane. Like, I really like the aesthetics.
I do love that city, to be fair.
It's amazing. And definitely America. Probably Houston, Texas way, because that's where my best mates live. And just the properties you can get there. You can get like the old loft converted buildings.
That's sort of like this place, isn't it?
Kind of like this place, but I want to live back in America myself. That's where I see myself like settling. So definitely Amsterdam and America.
Nice. So, as we just mentioned, this place with the beams and the ceiling and everything like that, how did this studio come about? And how did your partner, talk to me a little bit about your partner and how that sort of played out?
So I was, when I started it in September last year, I was working from home, and as you know, working from home, you can't get into the right headspace, and it's really difficult when you have dogs and you're like washing to do and cleaning. You just kind of get distracted and procrastinate. So I actually came to this building to look at a little tiny room downstairs, and it was way too small. And as we were walking out, I saw this place, like the corner of my eye, and I was like, "What's that?" And as soon as I walked in here, I was like, "This is the studio. Like, this is insane." And it wasn't on the market yet. It wasn't available, and I was like, "I'll have it. I'll do it." And they were like, "What, really?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll have it." It took like 3 or 4 months of negotiating to get it to a point where we were comfortable with taking on the commitment, because it's for 5 years. And that's where I was like, "Yeah, let's just do it." 6 weeks ago, I think we decided to take the plunge, and that's where Dan comes into play, because he's been my best friend for years now, and he's got a really successful career in sales. But he was looking for a new challenge as well, and for me to run a whole business again by myself and have a studio and 3 different arms of the business, I didn't really want to take on that level of responsibility again and have that big workload. So we had multiple meetings and chats about it, and we decided to come into business together. and he does all the sales now, and then I do pretty much everything else.
Nice. So you sort of complement each other's workload.
Yeah, so he's sales, networking, marketing. He's shit out of that. He's so good at it. And then I'm the creative side. So we're like chalk and cheese with each other, but he has a different skill set that I don't have, and obviously I've got a skill set that he doesn't have. Yeah. So it works really well because we don't collide with each other. It's not like two creators trying to battle for their ideas, or two salespeople trying to compete with each other to get the most sales they can. Like, it's very clear that he does the sales, generates the leads and work. Yeah. When the work comes in, then I obviously take it from there and deliver and create all the content.
Yeah, nice. It's good that you work together like that. Obviously, you've just launched the Cardiff Modelling Agency, CMA. So talk to me a little bit about that. What sort of thing are you offering there, and how does that whole agency work?
Yeah, so we obviously got Brank Lockr, which is based in Middle Lane Studios, and we wanted to get the studio for our work, really, so we always have somewhere to shoot and work from. But also it's more so for like influencers and models from South Wales and this area that want to have somewhere to come and create their own content. And believe it or not, there's actually nothing in the city centre like this, which baffled us. And then the CMA, Cardiff Modelling Agency, is not really a money maker for us. We don't really want to become like a modelling agency. Yeah. It's more so for having the community of influencers and models and trying to provide work for local people as well. So obviously we get quite high-end brands come to us wanting content creation and help with advertising. And we always found that we'd have to go to through Instagram, or we'd have to go to other modelling agencies to get the models for our shoots. Yeah. And it was always a lengthy process. And then if you go to another agency, they're then getting the cut and the work from it, and they're making the money and we're not. So it's not really a money maker for us though, but it works. It's a holistic approach. We have the models, we have the venue, we have the digital marketing, the content side of it. Yeah. So that's how it all kind of comes together. But the Cardiff Modelling Agency is more just a community for South Wales and local creators, influencers, and just to provide work for these people.
Well, it's good that you're sort of doing something for the city of Cardiff. Mm-hmm. So even though you work here, you still want to sort of give something back to people who want to get involved in something that's creative. Yeah. So
it's also affordable for people to come as well. So they don't have to travel to London or Bristol. And expensive studio hires. Yeah. They can come here. It's relatively cheap. It's like 40 quid an hour, and you get all of our kit, and you get us on hand to help you set up as well. So you make sure that you're getting the best lighting, the best sets.
It's good to have that sort of holistic approach, like you said earlier. So you're hitting it from sort of three angles, like the models, the online marketing and creation, and also you got the studio here physically. So you can you got everything under one sort of umbrella.
Turnkey solution.
Yeah, turnkey solution. Always back to that. So what do you think in terms of because you got obviously three aspects of the business? What would you say is the most important thing that you and Dan have to have in place, or you have to constantly think about? So like a business attribute. What's the most important attribute you would say in order to keep these three running successfully?
Well, I think our main focus is Brank Lockr. That's our core of our company. So we're always putting that first, and that's what makes us the money. That's
your baby.
That's our baby. That's what generates the opportunities for people who are on Cardiff Model Agency. It also brings people to the studio, and it helps us with revenue for the studio and running costs. But to have that one line and a direct approach of just building that one thing first, and then having the two other things to complement that, instead of trying to build three individual separate businesses that don't really relate with each other. And luckily, it all fits in with each other really nicely. So it's not the Cardiff Model Agency doesn't take time or effort to run really. It's more of just models come down, if they want to join, they come down, do a quick photo shoot, post them, and then when we get work coming in from Brank Lockr, we can show them our roster of talent. Yeah. And then obviously with the studio, we're creating a space for people to come and shoot, be able to hire to shoot, but then we also have it on hand whenever we need to shoot for us, and we're not having to go and hire other spaces that cost loads of money. We can incorporate into our pricing, so it's cheaper for the brand as well.
That's good. It's amazing. So if I was coming to you as a brand and as an owner of a brand, how would that process work? As me coming in off the street, asking for you to help me, how would that whole process work? What would it look like?
Yeah, so it's like if you're a startup or like a multi-million-dollar brand, we have the same approach. It's very much, we just have a conversation, an open dialogue. We see if you're a right fit for us, if you're a right stage of your business to come and work for Brank Lockr, because we don't really necessarily work with startups. We're more of like a higher level, like established brand agency. So if you'd come to us and ask us to help you and you're a startup and you weren't really there, we would say, look, you're not really at the point for us to be able to come in and help you yet. Our fees would probably be too much for you, but we would give them advice and tips on what they can do to get themselves up to a point of where they're at, where they can hire an external agency.
It's good that you still give them something.
Yeah, we still try and help. We don't just go, no, bye.
Yeah.
We always give them some advice that we can. And then if they were suitable to work with us, we then go on to more of a lengthy conversation where we truly dig into who they are, what they're doing, what they're selling, why, learn as much as we can possibly about their brand and their business, so we have a clear understanding of where they're at in their journey. And then we would go on to explain to them how we can help and what ways we can help.
Yeah.
And then obviously give a brief structure of how it would work with them and the time frames and costs and stuff like that.
So obviously that's when you start getting into like the paid ad sort of thing, the content creation. So it's all got to be specific to their sort of brand and their business.
It's all bespoke on what they need and their requirements. But you know, if they come on board with us for the turnkey solution, they'll have their fresh content and their ad funnels built within 14 days.
Yeah.
We go through their website, optimize it, make sure it's all working seamlessly, make sure all the pixels are firing, etc. And then from there, then it's like a 90-day process for us to learn and gather as much data as we can and understand what content works, what funnel, what demographic, what audience, what taglines, what headlines work, if there's things that need to be changed on the website or updated for the customer experience, customer journey, the conversion rate optimization. We go through all that in the first 90 days, and then once we're past those 90 days, we can then develop a full strategic plan where we'd be like, right, you spend this amount of money, we can guarantee this amount of return, this is the process, this is the milestones, this is what's going to happen, and we're very transparent and open with them, and we give them access to an online database and a dashboard where they can see in real time the results.
That's good.
So we're really like transparent with it. We're not like, give us your money and we'll run ads, because a lot of agencies are like, pay us this and we'll try and get you some money back. And they don't really talk to them in between. But very much we try to build a relationship up with the brands, so it's a journey for both of us.
And they feel comfortable then as well, don't they?
As they grow, we grow. As we grow, they grow. Like it's very much a long-term partnership that we try to build with them. We don't want to come in, charge loads of money, and then leave. Like we don't want to just ruin people's businesses for them, you know.
So obviously upcoming at the moment, you got, well, not upcoming, they're smashing it, TikTok, Instagram Reels and all that sort of thing. So that sort of short form content creation, YouTube Shorts now as well. How do you find that has sort of benefited brands, as opposed to, say, can we talk a little bit about the comparison between like a still image and, say, a video or a short form video?
Yeah, well, obviously in terms of like paid advertising, what would work for one brand might not work for another. So one brand might work really well on a still image, but then another brand might need more UGC style content, and then something else might need long form. So there's no like right or wrong or rule of thumb, but I think with the push of TikTok and Reels, it's opened a market up for influencers to be able to create UGC content, and for brands to be able to get content created at a lot cheaper price, because they can just send their products to the influencer, and the influencer can just shoot it in their bedroom on their phone or out on their phone. They don't need the big massive production value. They don't need all the big fancy cameras and editing and sets and stuff. So it's a lot more affordable for brands, and also it does generate better results for lower costs. But then also that does still need to be mixed in with the high quality content to showcase the value of the brand and the quality of it, because you don't really get to see the quality of the products through UGC. You get to see the how it works for people, like how real people would use it. So a good mixture of them both, I think, and it brings more people in, more opportunities for creators, and it's more variety of content for brands as well to be able to push their product up.
So we're obviously, you're talking about user generated content. So when it comes to that, how important is it for the agency or the sort of influencer and those sorts of people to stay on trend with the videos that are going viral at the moment
Yeah.
on, say, TikTok or Instagram. Obviously, with a certain song, there might be millions and millions of people using that sort of song. So how do they stay up to date with those trends, and how do they stand out?
Well, I think obviously for influencers, part of their job is they need to be on trend. They need to know what's working and what's not. And the same for us, really. We need to know what's working, what's not, what's in the media right now, where the attention is going, and creating content to then draw that attention, that audience to your brand. And I think we said earlier, having that brand core values and knowing what your brand is and what your USP is so important, because in the sea of noise, if you just pushing out a generic product, you're part of millions of people online, so you're going to get lost. But if you can harness that audience and draw it to your brand, and then you have that USP that people want to buy, that's how you can utilize it a lot better.
Yeah, no, I agree. The USP is definitely probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because you might jump on a trend, but people are going to notice what your USP is.
Yeah.
So even though they're flicking through that trend, your one is going to stand out because of the USP or your logo or whatever it might be.
Brand core values and such.
Exactly. So this leads me to the defining moment segment of the podcast. So as I briefed you before we jumped on, every guest who comes in got to bring in 3 pictures that define exactly where you are with me today. So can we start by you telling me what the first picture is and why it's a defining moment for you and your business?
Yeah, so the first photo is me standing outside of a shipping container. It was the first premises that I committed to open up a little studio, and it was tiny. Like, you get a little backdrop up in it, like the lighting was terrible. It was shit, to be
They always say start small, man.
Yeah, it was shit, to be fair, but that was the first time I ever took the leap from being just like a freelance photographer to having like a premises and trying to build a studio up and stuff like that. But then like 2 months after that, I had to leave it because I couldn't afford the £250 a month rent. And then less than 3 weeks later that, I signed for £1,500 a month unit.
It's a massive jump.
In Surrey, with no idea how to pay for it or no business to do it, but I just knew that I had the vision. I could see that it was going to work, and I just took the leap. And
That's a
jumped in.
massive risk.
Mhm.
What business was that?
That was the Young Creative Agency.
Oh yeah, so the
First
Tyco one,
business.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Tyco, yeah.
can you talk to me a little bit about that? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go? Obviously, I know how it sort of ended up, because obviously you're here now in a different premises. So can you tell me a bit about that journey?
Yeah, so I obviously signed for that unit with no idea how we were going to pay for it, and it was just myself at the time. But obviously I had the vision, and I was getting up at like 5 every day, coming home at like midnight, working my ass off to the point where I burnt myself out. But in the process of that, we obviously had COVID, and obviously COVID crushed a lot of businesses. But for us, in the e-commerce space, because that's what we were in, we were able to still operate continuously. So it kind of like exploded us a little bit. Like we were able to keep shooting when everyone else had to stop, and we were able to like have brands send their products to us.
Yeah.
We were able to keep running, so it grew super quick, and to the point where we had like 9 staff. I had a business partner. We were doing like 50-60k months, and we had like 30 clients. It was intense. It was really busy, and like we had photographers, videographers, graphic designers, social media managers, office managers. It was crazy, to be fair. It was going really well throughout COVID, and then obviously COVID ended and the world kind of turned back on again.
Yeah.
Things got a bit normality, so that business model in that short period of time worked so well, and then just stopped, because they could go out in the streets again, they could go away on holidays, they could shoot abroad, they could other places were open, you know. So, and at the time my business partner is a professional dancer, and he had commitments that he had to travel the world and compete in, so he had to step down from the position, which just left me, 9 staff, 2 units, because we got another one because we were going to expand, 30 clients, a high monthly cost. We were paying people like 30k a year, like 9 of them.
Yeah.
And we had the 2 premises, and we had all the staff.
So what sort of money was it generating back then if you were paying all them staff that money?
We were doing like 50-60 grand a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big business.
Yeah.
Like that's
to be within the first 24 months.
Yeah.
To get it up to that point and to grow to that level of staff and the amount of clients that we were like servicing within the small period of time, the business model wasn't built enough. There wasn't the right processes in place. The strategy wasn't defined. It wasn't clear enough, because we were obviously still in the process. We were very reactive. Like we were just building as we were going. We weren't a business. We didn't build. prove concept, and then
Yeah,
scale.
yeah.
We kind of open scaled, and
Yeah.
it was like it happened so quickly that ultimately, like the company went bankrupt, and we had to close it because the running costs were just too high, and a few bad hires, obviously the business partner stepping down, it all just kind of got on top of me as well,
Yeah.
and I wasn't able to manage it and control it. So yeah, it failed.
But the way you've come from that low in your life, and obviously now you're in a lovely studio in the centre of Cardiff, like it shows that you've dusted yourself off,
Yeah.
sort of learned from your mistakes, and now you're ready to jump back in and be creative again and push a business again to be successful. So what would you say the biggest lessons that you learned from the Taika studio that you would take into this experience?
Yeah, don't run before you can walk. Like, take your time with it, be patient, don't chase the money. Don't, like, when you see the big money coming in, just it's quite easy then just to keep wanting those big contracts.
Yeah.
But like, one thing my stepdad, who's like my business mentor, says to me, having lots of small paying clients is a lot better than having a few big paying clients, because if one of those big paying clients go, you've lost like a third of your revenue.
100%.
It can kill you.
Yeah.
It can kill you off. So definitely, like, take it slow, be patient with it. Don't try and just chase the money. And for me, I found as soon as I removed myself from the creative process, that's when it all went to shit. Because I wasn't involved in it, so I couldn't have quality control.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved with like the planning and what they were creating and why they were creating it. And when you're hiring creatives, it's really hard to get them to do what you want, because they're creative. They want to do what they want to create, what they want to create, and that's where the company failed, because the quality wasn't up to scratch, the content wasn't resonating with the brand and their audience, and then we'd have brands coming back and asking for refunds. And yeah, as soon as I removed myself, that's kind of when it all just went to shit.
Well, you are the brand, like you are the creative person behind these businesses. So obviously people are coming to this business for you and your expertise and your experience. So when you almost got to put your absolute trust in the people you're hiring.
Yeah.
They might be younger, they might be more inexperienced, but you almost got to know 100% that they're going to do it to the standard that people expect from your business.
That's really hard to guarantee.
And I know of a couple of PTs who sort of, they hire another PT to take on some of their clients because they haven't got time. Mm-hmm. And I could never do that as a PT myself, because people are paying for me and my expertise.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could guarantee that the other PT would be delivering that same sort of, the same level, shall I say, of coaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Difficult.
If we move on to the second picture then, of the defining moment, what is that picture and why is it defining moment?
Yeah, so I think it'd be a picture of my mum and my stepdad.
Yeah.
They've been there for me the whole time throughout me being like in this journey of
Like rocks to you,
yeah,
like.
they've been a rock for me. Definitely my stepdad, he's a businessman, he owns an accountancy firm, he has like 50 years of experience, and the knowledge he's been able to give me is priceless, you know,
Can
because
imagine.
there's only, obviously you need to make the mistakes yourself to learn from it,
Yeah.
but if you can tap into 50 years of knowledge,
100%.
then like that is invaluable, you know. And having him there to always like not shoot me down, but to level me back out and bring me back to earth when my
Put you in
mind
your
goes
place,
crazy.
like.
Yeah, puts me back to place when my mind's crazy, and give me solid advice. Like, it's non-biased, it's non-emotional, it's just solid advice, solid business advice. Having him has been a really big help and godsend.
Yeah. And what about your mum?
Yeah, obviously my mum's a successful entrepreneur in her own right as well. She's ran successful businesses and helped my stepdad run his business really successful, and she understands what it takes to have a successful startup and be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it's always been good to be able to go to her in times of concern or worry and be able to talk to her about it, and instead of having like that big emotional response and like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so scared and so worried, being more like level-headed and be like, right, let's just talk it out. Let's see how we can resolve this and what we can fix it. And then there's always a solution, you know. There's always, you can always fix any problem. It's never the end. So having that is really comforting.
Yeah, having that sort of mum or mother figure around you is so important, because they're always the ones who they can calm you down, sort of thing, and like give you that love and support and make you feel a little bit better and more at ease about it, because they'll never judge you almost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
So
they're
you can
there
go
for your
to-
best interest,
Yeah.
but I think also because she's experienced it and understands it, she knows how to deal with it and act with it instead of being like don't get me wrong, she told me multiple times, go and get a job, and I'm just like, shut up, it's not happening. And then after she got over that, she was more like, right, let's see how we can figure it out. He's obviously not going to.
He's not going to get a job.
He's not going to get a job.
I may as well help him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Class. So can we move on to the third and final defining moment part of the podcast? Why is it a defining moment?
So I think it was a picture of me and Kai and Caleb, which are my best friends from America. Mainly because I wouldn't be who I am today without them. You know, as a 20-year-old moving to America without a phone, without knowing a single soul there, and just by chance and by luck really being, Caleb was the one that picked me up from the airport, and he was the one that I was just assigned to live with him, to then being like just clicking like instantly and being like best friends. And then his partner Kai being like best friends with her as well. They allowed me to like come out of my shell and become who I really was as a person, because the person I was before I went to America is not the person I am today. Like, I was quite shy, I was quite timid, I didn't really want to talk to anyone, I didn't want to socialise, but going up there I found myself, definitely. What did they do? How did they help bring you out of your shell? I think they just, you know, they cared for me, they loved me, they were there for me, and they just showed me a different way of living and just a different way of being, and like, I don't know, they just kind of understood me like straight away. It's so surreal, to be honest with you, because having complete strangers from America who know nothing about you and just being plonked into their life, and then being so welcoming and creating a home with you. Did you kind of feel like there was maybe less pressure because neither of you knew each other at all? So you went there, it was kind of like a fresh slate for you. That's it, to be honest with you. One of the main things I can remember when I moved there was in my head thinking, no one knows me. No one has any idea about my past. I come with zero baggage to this new experience of going to school out here, so I can just be myself and who I want to be. So obviously when you grow up in a small city like Cardiff, everyone always has that preconception of who you once were or was, or they treat you in a certain way. Like if you used to have bad traits when you were younger, they hold that over your head always, don't they, if they know you. So you can never really like truly be who you wanted to be, because they would always be like, what? That's not you, that's not who you are, blah, blah. But then me being able to go out there, nobody knowing me, it was just a clean slate. Kind of be yourself, like not get judged. I think from that, having that mindset of going out there and then meeting Kai and Caleb and then being so like welcoming and like creating a home around me and being like really good friends with me, that solidified that me being who I was what I should be doing. You know, not trying to like hide it or be something else or somebody else for the people around me, just being who I was for myself. You know? That's good. Good friends are like hard to come by, and they're so important in our lives. Really hard, So I want to just move on a little bit I want to tap into your brain a little bit. What do you think the audience can take away from this podcast? Like, what would you say is at the forefront of your mind that is a non-negotiable in business, and that's sort of like advice that people can take away from this podcast and implement? I think believe in yourself, take risks. Don't listen to anybody, and just be quite stubborn-minded and strong. If you have a vision and you have a goal, you can make it happen. Like anything is possible in this world. Like, you can do anything you want. Like, literally, you can do anything you want. You can make what you want. You can earn what you want. You can go where you want, as long as you want it enough and you're not willing to like negotiate on any of it. Just go for it. Just take the risk. Just do it. It's gonna happen. Just don't allow external people to like diminish you or like to push you down, or no one's going to believe in your vision as much as you're going to believe in it. So why would you talk to them about it? Because they don't understand it. They can't see it, and if they haven't got a vision, they're not going to want you to have a vision. They don't want you to succeed if they're not going to succeed. So I think just believe in yourself, take the risk, and if it doesn't work, it's not a failure, it's the biggest success, because now you know what not to do next. So there's no failures in business, there's always learning lessons, you know. Oh, I love that. And then if we talk about a potential guest on this podcast, do you have anyone in mind who would be a really good guest, and why? Yeah, I think, I was thinking about this one, I think Mace the Great. From Cardiff. Musician. That's it, musician. I see him get shared on my feed all the time. He's blowing up at the moment, but like I did a photo shoot with Mace and his manager Perry, I don't even know, when I very first started things, maybe 4 years ago, and I watched him and his journey, and he's blowing up, but he's still the same guy from Splot. Obviously he's representing Splot and Cardiff. He's he stays very true to where he's from and who he is. He hasn't changed at all. Like, he's still the same warm, loving guy. He's such a cool dude, man.
No, that's cool.
I think having someone like that on this podcast would, like, it inspire people from Cardiff as well to follow their dreams and chase for it.
Yeah.
And again, to know that whatever you put your mind to is possible to make it happen.
No, I think it'd be a really good story. You'll have to be the plug and kind
I'll link you.
You'll have to link us up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ash,
Nice,
for coming
mate.
on the
Appreciate
Capable
it.
Minds podcast. I wish you guys every success with the studio and the creative agency. As always, guys, please like, share and subscribe to our channel as it helps us grow. And I'm going to link Ashley's and the business's websites and social media handles in the bio, so go and check them out if you want to keep up to date with what they're doing. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.